Okay. All right, so here we go. So first thing we're going to do is define circle. There are 4 conic sections. See the picture I cut out of a book up here? This shows you why they're called conic sections. If you take a cone and you slice it different ways, you see different cross-sectional areas, okay? And we're going to take a cone and slice it straight across. So you think of a sugar cone, you know, a sugar cone like you get ice cream in. If you cut it straight across the top, the shape that you see is a circle. Now, what is a circle? Guys, was matrix a definition on your test you just took? Because the whole chapter was about matrices. Guess what's going to be a definition on this test? Circle and parabola, ellipse, and hyperbola. All 4 of them this time. All right, so here we go. What's a circle? A circle is a set of points in a plane, equidistant from a given point in the plane. That's a circle. Set of points in a plane. So what that means is we can draw it on the blackboard. It's a plane figure. Unlike a sphere, which is a 3-dimensional figure, it is not in the plane. Circles are plane figures. Okay, what do you think we call the given point? The given point has a name. A circle is a set of points equidistant from a given point. What's that given point called? The center of the circle? Isn't that point the center of the circle? In this equidistant, so let's say this is 5, this is 5, this is 5, equidistance, what do we call that? Equidistance. What's that distance called? That's called the radius. So circles have a center and a radius, and that's pretty much all they have. So your first task is to look at, and we did this earlier in the year, maybe you remember, to look at the equation. You don't have to graph it, can if you want, but you don't have to. You're gonna tell me what the center and the radius are. Anybody wanna take a wild guess, because you remember when we did this before?
2 and 2.
Huh?
2 and 2.
No, but that 2's part of it. The radius is 2. The radius is the square root of that number. The radius is the square root of that number. Okay, Josh, when did you sneak in? Josh Griffin. Well, after you were supposed to be here. Okay, now what's the center? Well, the center of this is 0, 0. Now, how do I know that? Because nothing has been added or subtracted to the x's. So if you have a plane x squared or a plane y squared, or in this case both, the coordinates of the center are going to be 0. All right? All right, how about B? What do you think the center and radius of B are? What's the center, Daryl?
Would it be 0,
0,
0?
0. Nothing's added or subtracted. So the center's 0, 0. What do you think the radius of B is?
5.
Be careful. The radius is the square root of that number. It's not half that number, it's the square root of that number. I didn't make that clear. The radius is the square root of that number. So if that number's 10, then the radius will be, no, the square root of 10. So for problem B, your center is at the origin, 0, 0, and your radius is the square root of 10. Now, C is harder. These were handed out a long time ago.
Oh, they were?
Yeah.
Okay. I probably have it then.
Anybody want to take a wild guess where the center of this one is? Now notice it's not going to be 0, 0. Would you agree with me? It would be
-1.
-1, +3. Kids, we did this earlier this year. Remember, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. And then what would my radius be since this number is a 16? 4. Because the radius is the square root of that number, whatever it is. Whatever it is, it's the square root of that number. So -1, 3 is my center. All right, what about D? What's the center and radius of D? 4, 0. Why is it 0? Because there's nothing added or subtracted. So it's 4, 0. And what's my radius? Square root of 17. Now, E is problematic because why? What is wrong with equation E? It isn't written like this. This is called standard form. And if it's written this way, then you can tell me immediately what the center and the radius are. So what we're gonna have to do with problem E is get it into that form. So I want you to take your X's and group them together. We did this earlier this year. I hope it's starting to come back to you. We're gonna get our X's together. And we're gonna leave a blank. And then we're gonna put our Y's together. And we're gonna leave a blank. And then we're gonna move that number to the other side of the equation. So we're trying to get our circle into standard form. So to do that, we simply put the X's together, put the Y's together, leave some space, because you're gonna have to get creative here, and move that number to the other side. Here's the part, this is real easy, but this is the part we sometimes forget. I am gonna figure out numbers to put in these blanks. They also have to be added to the other side. So whatever number we figure out goes here, we have to add it over here. All right, anybody wanna take a wild guess how we find that number? It's called completing the square. You did it freshman year, you did it last year, and we did it earlier this year. What do? We take half of this. What's half of this? Squared. Doesn't matter, positive or negative, because you're gonna square it. So when half of it is 2, squared is 4. So that's gonna be a 4. Now, what's gonna go here? 9, because half of 6 is 3, and 3 squared is 9. Now, you did that, completing the square, so that you could write these 3 terms. This clump right here, we're gonna write as something squared. Anybody wanna take a wild guess what this is gonna be in this parentheses? X minus 2. If you factor this, it's x minus 2, x minus 2. Plus, okay, do the same thing with this one. What's this one gonna be? Something squared. Y plus 3. Because y plus 3 times y plus 3 is this. You're just factoring that. They'll always be perfect squares. There'll always be something squared, something squared. Because the process we used is called completing the square, making the square. And we'll add all that up and get 18. So what's our center?
2.
2, -3. And what's our radius?
Square root of 9.
No.
Square root of 18.
The square root of 18, which reduces, and we talk about this all the time, if something simplifies, you simplify it. So how does the square root of 18 simplify?
2, 3.
3 square root of 2. Because 18 is 9 times 2. All right, let's try exactly the same thing with F. So as I'm copying it down, I'm grouping together my X's, grouping together my Y's, and the 15's already over there. So that's how you're gonna get your problem ready to go. That's how you're gonna arrange it. All right, now you gotta figure out what numbers you're gonna put in the blanks. So right here, look at the X's. What are you gonna put in the blank?
25.
25. One more time. Half of 10 is 5, and 5 squared is 25. But don't forget, if you put it here, you gotta put it over there. It's an equation. Gotta put it on both sides. All right, what's gonna go here? 16. Half of 8 squared. Now, what square is this? X plus 5. X plus 5. What square is this?
Minus a square.
Y
Or y
minus 4. And then we add it all up and get 56 if I added right.
Yeah.
So now you can do the problem. What's the center?
-5.
-5, 4. And what's the radius? Square root of 56, and I'm sure that breaks down. 56 is 8 times 7. So it looks like 214, 2 root 14. Now, would you try G on your own? With your partner there if you want. Now, don't be confused. Is there anything added, any y's added to that y squared? So what does that mean? When I go to do my center, the y coordinate is just going to be 0. So that's not, you shouldn't be confused, that's good news. You only have to figure out the x part. So what did you put in here? 64? And then what was this right here? X plus 8. You don't have to do anything with the y's because there's no other y to complete the square with. Like there's another x, it's just plain y squared, and anytime you have just plain y squared or x squared, it's 0. The coordinate's 0. Alright, so what is my center?
Or -8.
-8, 0. And what's my radius?
Square root of 72.
Square root of 72, which I'm sure breaks down. It's 36 times 2, so wouldn't it be 6 root 2? You can break it all the way down if you want, but it doesn't. It is 36 times 2, and the square root of 36 is 6. Now number 2 is backwards. if I know the center is negative 3, 2, and the radius is 7, what will be my equation?
X plus 3.
X plus 3, don't forget squared. Always plus
X minus
y, let's use y, yeah, y minus 2 squared equals 49. Remember, the number in the equation is r squared. The square root of this is the radius. That's pretty easy. What's b?
X minus 5.
X minus 5 squared,
And just plus y squared.
just plus plain old y squared,
Equals 10.
equals 10, exactly. This number right here in the equation is r squared. Oh. We did these earlier in the year too. These are a little more complicated. So I've got a circle, and I have a diameter, so we remember what a diameter is, right? And endpoints are 1, -1, and 3, 7. And I need to write the equation of this circle. So I need to do like this. This is the equation of a circle. Now, what do I need to know in order to do that? What are these numbers in here? How was I able to write this equation? I knew the center and I knew the radius. So somehow, if you're gonna write the equation of the circle, you need to find the center and the radius. All right, so let's start with the center. What do we know about the center? It's right there. But how would I figure out what it is? What do I know about it? It's the midpoint. It's right in the middle. Right?
Yep.
How do we find midpoint? All of a sudden, everybody's looking down, hoping I'm not looking at you. Midpoint is average. Midpoint is average. If you are in the middle of the pack, aren't you average? Midpoint, average. And how do we find an average? You add and divide by 2, right? So 1 plus 3 divided by 2 is 2. So x is 2. -1 plus 7 divided by 2 is 3. Kids, it's average. The midpoint is the average. So now I know my equation is going to look like x minus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared. What else do I need? Radius. And the radius, it's either this one or this one, right? I'll just use this one. That's a radius, right? That's a radius. So I need to find the distance from here to here. Who remembers how to do that?
Distance
The distance formula, absolutely. And how does the distance formula work? It's a big radical. We subtract the x's and we subtract the y's. And square them, add them up, and take the square root. Okay, we did all this back in chapter P. We're not going through it all again. This is how you find the distance. Learn it. So here we go. 2 minus 3 squared is 1. 3 minus 7 squared is 16. So my radius is the square root of 17. Be careful. That's not what goes here. What goes here?
17.
17. Because this number is always the radius squared. So as soon as I figure out what my radius is, I'm gonna square it. Okay? Now, we got a circle. The center is at negative 5, 3. Now, I'm not plotting this on like a graph. You don't need to, but if it helps you to do that, go ahead and get some graph paper and do that. I'm just randomly sketching it. So the center's at negative 5, 3, and it contains the point negative 2, negative 3. So contains the point means that point is on the circle. Now, if we know the center, can't we build the first part of our equation? X plus 5, don't forget to square it. Y minus 3 squared. So that part's done. Right, because we know the center. What's missing? The radius. But wouldn't this be a radius right here? So won't we just do our distance formula again? So our radius is going to be negative 2 minus negative 5 and negative 3 minus 3. And I square those. X minus x, y minus y. Okay, so what is negative 2 minus negative 5? That's 3, but I'm squaring it, so it'll be 9. What's negative 3 minus 3? Well, it's negative 6, but I'm squaring it, so it'll be 36. So my radius is the square root of 45. Now, I know that breaks down, but don't, because you're trying to write the equation, right? So if the radius is root 45, what's gonna go here? 45. All right, one more, and this one is exactly like this one we just did here a little bit ago. So let's see, can you, got a circle, got a diameter, endpoints are 5, 2, and 3, negative 6. Can you find the center right now? Can you find the center? What is the center? The center is the average. Right? The average. Anybody come up with a center you want to share? I heard a 4, negative 2. Thumbs up. Good, perfect. So that, the minute you get that, you guys, you can set up most of your equation. X minus 4 squared, y plus 2 squared, right? So what are we still missing? The radius. And the radius is gonna be either this distance or this distance. Won't they be the same? So it doesn't matter which one you do. Just do one of them. I'll do this one. So my radius is going to be the square root of what? 4 minus 3 and negative 2 minus negative 6. Okay, 4 minus 3 squared, 1, negative 2 minus negative 6 is actually going to be 4. squared 16. Okay, I got this before. Maybe I didn't. Root 17. So what goes right here? 17. Problem done. Okay? So now what I want you to do is get out your extra practice packet. Homework 8.1, or I can't remember what I called it. I called it 8.1 circle. Homework 8.1 circle will be due on Wednesday. I know. Like in a week. Homework 8.1 circle will be due on Wednesday. So let's take a minute right now in your group there. See if you can find the center and the radius of this circle. Okay? You're finding the center and the radius of this circle. Everybody should have a pencil in hand and be doing some work here. You're writing, or you're finding the center and the radius. So you know you have to clean up your equation. Did you group your X's and your Y's? Did you rearrange things? What did you end up adding for the X part? 4. And why did we add 4? Because half of 4 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. But add it to both sides. Alright? What did you end up adding here? 16. Because half of 8 is 4, and 4 squared is 16. Both sides. These two things will always be perfect squares. Always. That's how you designed it. So what's this one going to be? X minus 2. What's this one going to be? Y minus 4. And that's going to be 26. So the question said, find the center and the radius. What's the center? 2, 4. What's the radius? Square root of 26. Everybody okay? All right, do B by yourself. Do B by yourself. If you finish it, do C. 64 and 25, are those the numbers that you added? And remember, they're always going to be added because you're squaring, so they're gonna be positive, okay? They're gonna be positive all the time. So what did you get for your squares here, your perfect squares?
X plus 8.
X plus 8, yep, that sign's a plus, it's gonna be plus 8. This one's gonna be y
Minus 1.
minus 5, right? Y minus 5. And I got 85 over there. So what's my center? Negative 8, 5. And my radius is square root of 85. Now, let's see, 85 divided by 5 is 17, so that doesn't break down. So it's just the square root of 85. Okay, you feel confident about that?
Yeah.
All right, there's one more. Notice, what do you notice about equation C? There is no y, which means when you find the center for equation C, the y is going to be 0. You don't have to do anything with the y's. What did you end up adding here? 36,
And then X plus.
right? 36, everybody, both sides. So your perfect square was x plus 6, oops, plus y squared, equals 46. So where was your center? -6, comma, 0. And what was your radius? Square root of 46. All right. Well, guess what, my friends? We're gonna have a quiz next time.
Not for a week though, right?
Probably. So, backside of that paper we just did is a practice quiz. The quiz will have 2 problems on it. One problem will be exactly like this. That's what the ones at the top are. There are 2 practice problems here, but the quiz will only have 1 image. Okay? So this is one kind. And then the other one is, if I give you the center and the radius, you're gonna write the equation. Okay?
It's not bad.
Not bad at all. So I want you to do it right now. Do what you can do right now. We have 7 minutes. We have plenty of time. Quit looking at the clock. You're gonna get out of here soon enough. These are easy to copy on another sheet of paper and redo them. You might want to do that. Since I'm not gonna have a quiz for, I think it is about a week. It's a long time. got the first couple done, so when you get them done, look up there and see if they match. Did you do that on your own?
Yeah.
Oh, mine. Good. I hope you can remember it when we come back to it.
I'll look over it.
What are you doing? Okay, you need to get out a sheet of paper and just, I mean, you can write the topics down, but more down. When you're done with these two, go ahead and move on to the other two. Anybody have a question about these two up here though? Are you getting the same center and radius that I got? Everybody? B, 1B is another one of the ones that, don't let it trick you. What does it mean when there's no other Y in there? It means you're just gonna have 0, right? So you're gonna have to work on the X's, but not the Y's. And those last two are super simple because you have the center and the radius. So you can go ahead and just write the equations.
It's like curl up in a blanket and we watch a movie right
Well, that's not
Well,
what
we're
we
gonna
gotta be
curl up
doing.
outside and watch the stations in a little
now.
bit.
Get sick.
How do you think the whole school can fit in that courtyard?
We're gonna figure it out.
I'm not
The whole school in that pool.
Alright, guys,
so cooked.
anybody have a question?
And there's like a stage.
This is your quiz next time. One of these and one of those.
Relax.
Okay, so,
It's not good.
this is day 10. Okay, so yeah, I don't even see you till Wednesday. So Wednesday is gonna be a big day for us. We have our homework due and we have a little quiz, right? Probably be half sheet of paper